Hey everyone, Shinobi here, giving you my first impressions of VHS. I've been playing it for about 4 days at this point now, and while I'm not an expert on the game exactly, I definitely have thoughts on it so far. But before that, if you want to catch me playing VHS as well as other games, I stream at twitch.tv/Shinorbi on Sundays through Tuesday nights, and usually Friday nights you can catch me on there as well. So to start off, let's go ahead and talk about the flavor of the game. I have to say the art style of the game, I absolutely love it. It really invokes the feels of like a 1980s video shop where you're hanging out there, Friday, Saturday night with your friends. And the way the art style feels is not quite too whimsical, but not too serious as well, where, some other games have a lot more blood in them. Other ones might be a little bit more cartoonish altogether. This one kind of finds a nice middle ground between the two. Now, on top of that, you also have the music and sound effects. They are very spot on for the theme as well, where the tension loop when you're being chased by the monster really gives you like this sense of urgency that you just have to run away from this thing that is chasing you down. And on top of that, the weapon sounds all sound very unique and are very identifiable simply just by the sounds themselves. So you can really tell what the teens are attacking with simply just by hearing the audio cues being given by that weapon. Yes. Speaking of audio cues, they are, again, something very big in this game. They're huge in how you can really play around certain things, hearing where things are coming from, where certain things are nearby. They're all very unique in their sound, so it's something you kind of have to learn along the way to really get good at this game, is what sounds are being heard. So say, for example, by monster, teens running on different types of floor will run and sound completely different. So that's very important for you to kind of learn as a monster player. Now, the cosmetics of this game, I love the base and free cosmetics that you get simply just starting off in the game, as well as the ones you get just simply playing and progressing in the game itself. All of them look really great. They give a nice little flavor for each of the characters and give their own unique personality to each of the characters in the game. Now, on top of that, you have the premium cosmetics that add a lot of flair and are really just on a completely different level compared to the base and free cosmetics you get throughout the game. Now, some of these can be bought using the in-game currency, simply just playing long enough and accruing it, while others are only going to be available using the premium currency that will eventually be in the game that is not currently in there right now. So let's move over to gameplay. Gameplay, you're going to find that it feels familiar if you've played other 4v1 asymmetrical kind of games like this, especially horror themed ones. But yet it has a lot of good, unique elements that make it its own game. So one thing to really look at this, a lot of people compare this game to Dead by Daylight, and where you can definitely see some similarities. One thing you really have to take away is that this game is really more of a fighting game, while Dead by Daylight is really more of a game of tag. You're being chased by the killer, trying to find the best loops to basically prolong this chase and hopefully get away from them. Well, in this game, it really comes down to fighting the monster. So in VHS, the team that is running away from the monster might get away from them somehow if they have a plan or maybe an item available to give them that boost that they need. But most likely what they want to do is loop them around to where their other teammates are that hopefully have weapons and get a hit in on that monster. Now, one thing I also like that is different in this game is the recovery mechanic for the teens. So when a teen gets downed, they can go into the spectral realm and look for Luma to pick themselves up. As well as once they've taken enough damage and are dead, they're not completely out of the game. They can search around again in the spectral realm and try to find the Book of the Dead, where then their teammates can pick that book up and use it to resurrect them. But this can only be done once per match, so only one team can ever be brought back from being dead. Now, chases in this game can feel really rewarding. When it comes to evading the monster, it really comes down to kind of a contest of skills. Does the teen have more skill running the monster than the monster does during the chase? And generally, you can see that where the team might be able to escape either through better pathing or simply, getting to a position where they might be able to stealth their way around the monster. Versus the monster having better pathing, cutting off the teen where they don't expect it, or knowing that, when they're chasing after this teen, they hear something different, they know that this person is now stealthing, and they find them and get them. And I would say probably one of my favorite things so far has definitely been tracking down teens as the monster. It is very, very fun and very rewarding when you actually get to that point to get those 2 hits in avoiding any attacks, and I don't know, it's just so much different to me that I really love the way it feels in this game. So some ways that you can change the way the game feels for you is using mutations and perks that really allow you to customize to your preferred playstyle. So changing how the weapons and powers work can really change up how these things can be used, and really are things that eventually have to be learned by both sides. You know, as a monster, you have to know how certain weapons can be changed around to be used against you, and vice versa. As a teen, you have to know how monsters' powers can be altered to then again be used against you. Now, the perks in this game are all associated either with a certain teen or a certain monster. And what you do is you go through what's called journeys to unlock more and more powerful versions of those perks for the team. And also, as you complete the journeys, you also unlock them for all the other characters. So say, for example, I'm on the character Faith, I'm going through her journey, I finished journey 1 all the way through. That now makes those 3 level 1 perks available for all the other teams. And I just go down journey 2 and journey 3, and just following that progression, I'm able to unlock all the other higher level ones for those other teams as well. Now, as there is kind of a meta already brewing in the community when you're looking at perks for monsters and teens, you see people kind of gravitating towards certain ones. One thing I do have to say that, while yes, there are some stronger and weaker perks out there already, it really comes down to preference. So even if you're someone that prefers some of the weaker perks, it's not that you'll necessarily do bad in the game. It'll just, really depend on your play style if those are going to come out and really shine when you're playing the game. So let's talk about balance now. From the start, the game really feels like it has a good balance between monsters versus teens. Everyone honestly starts off really bad when it's their first few games, kind of learning the mechanics, learning the maps, learning how everything really works. You're gonna struggle, and that's fine. Everyone does. But the most important thing is that you learn from those mistakes, and you will see growth come through those mistakes that you learn from. So there has been some instances of people kind of bringing up concerns of balance in the game, and a couple that I want to bring up are, say for example, teens as well as other people brought up that werewolf felt like a very OP monster because of their powers and their skill sets, but honestly, once people started playing more and more and seeing how to counter them, teens honestly started taking out werewolf pretty easily, where they're almost one of the weaker ones if you really know how they work. And it really comes down to is teens need to really rely on each other. Since soloing a monster is always a bad idea, you really have to communicate, and you really have to use the tools of the ping system as well as the in-game voice system if you can, to really overcome any of the monsters you come across. Another concern that came up was teens were being seen as too much of a power role, but once you really look at it, it's because this is a fighting game. So where your traditional power role might have, a lot more power over the survivor or teens in the game, this is a fighting game. So when the teens have a weapon, they have a chance. If they don't have a weapon, they are generally on a very weak side of everything. That's kind of the built-in balance of everything. So one thing that monsters really need to know is respecting teens when it comes to the fight, using their powers smart, and just using what they have available to them to outplay the teens and not get hit by all the weapon types to lose the game. So let's wrap up here with what we can expect moving forward with this game. So the plans for this game at launch is going to be that it goes free to play. So that is going to be when this moves into early access, we should be able to see anyone pick up this game, play it if they wish. And the way they're planning on supplementing that is going to be through cosmetics, which can be purchasable as teens and monsters, as well as new characters, teens and monsters, that can be purchased along the way once they start releasing more and more of them. Almost everything will be able to be purchased with an in-game currency that you earn just playing the game, but players can also use premium currency to purchase and unlock things sooner, as well as there will be certain premium items that can only be purchased with that premium currency. One thing that we have heard, and it's not really confirmed, it's mostly just rumors kind of thrown out there, is that at launch we should hopefully see a new monster and possibly even a new teen brought into the game to kind of shake things up and all that good stuff there. Now, when the closed beta does complete and this game does move to early access, everyone that has been in closed beta will lose all their progress. So in a sense of perks and other things like that, everyone's going to be on the same day one, but you know, that skill level will be there for those people that got to play early. So you will see those differences in games early on, but again, that's just going to be something that through time everyone will kind of start evening out, as well as they have an MMR system in the game already that is working pretty well when it comes to matchmaking. So hopefully we'll see that keep going. And as for points of concern that I've kind of seen as I've had my time to play this game, so right now, some of the things that are kind of keeping this game from going to early access, simply that they do not have the premium currency ready to go for the go live. So that's one of the things that's holding them back. Another one is server stability. While the games themselves I've been in have been fantastic, no issues, no real bugs or anything like that, the issues with certain servers has come up. So for example, there's been issues with the communication server, sometimes with the party server where you can't party up with your friends if you wish. And then on top of that, there's also issues with the queue server once in a while, where I've even had the issue of not being able to get into a game even after waiting 15 minutes or more, and I had to restart the client. Other things that I've seen, again, going to the queue times, the times themselves can sometimes be a bit painful, not too horribly bad, honestly, in my opinion, versus, you know, other games currently out, but they can be painful, and it can be something that gets more exaggerated as the player base grows. And simply some of the reasons we're seeing that is, you know, we have a low population right now with the closed beta, so there's not that many players in there, but with every queue wave we get more and more, and we're going to see that queue hopefully get better and better. They all are also tweaking their MMR that is already in the game, gathering information on every player to help balance those matches. And honestly, we're seeing big changes simply by those small tweaks they do on the back end there. Another issue, monster player count is on the low end, and that's pretty typical for these kinds of games because, you know, people want to play with their friends most of the time, so that means they're going to gravitate usually towards that teen survivor role. So hopefully what we'll maybe see is like some incentives or something to help bring the monster queue into like a healthier ratio to help those long queue times of teams versus monsters. Those are my initial thoughts on VHS after playing it for a few days. I believe it has a lot of potential behind it, so I'm very excited to keep playing it and seeing what comes in the future for it. If you liked and enjoyed what I had to say, make sure to hit that like button down below. I'm aiming to make a tips video for new players to VHS that will include some do's and don'ts when going through your first few matches. If you want to see that when it comes out, as well as any other videos I put out, make sure to subscribe to my channel. That's it for me. Thank you all, and take care.